Now, it is no secret that Call of Duty Vanguard is failing. Ever since the launch of the game, I would say it's just been a steady decline of popularity and overall enjoyment of the game. And today, I just want to take some time to sit down and discuss why, because there are definitely a few reasons why I think this game is failing. And I'd like to hear you guys' comments as well. If you leave a comment down below, let me know what you think of this situation as well. I personally was really looking forward to Vanguard's release. We obviously had the original leaks where, like, we were told it was a World War II game. It was going to be a sort of follow-up to Call of Duty World War II. And I remember saying that this is probably the least I'd be excited for a COD game ever. But once things started to get official and they started officially talking about Vanguard, there was nothing but enjoyment for me. I was so excited for the game. I remember there was a roadmap, actually. I'll probably bring it up on screen if I can find it. They had a roadmap of the initial launch of Vanguard and then the next few weeks after that as well. I remember looking at that and thinking, this launch is going to be so good. Like, there's so much here that I'm looking forward to. It's going to be such a good game, and I can't wait to play it. And if you guys have been sticking around the channel for a while, you'll know that around about the launch of Vanguard, my PC decided to die. And that basically put me out of working on YouTube videos for like 2 or 3 weeks or something. That was definitely a big part that made Vanguard fail for me, because I was looking forward to doing like atomic guides and daily videos as soon as the game came out. And obviously that happening just really knocked my sort of aspirations for the game. Like, I was one of the main reasons I'm looking forward to Vanguard was making videos, and then that happened and it just completely ruined everything. And by the time I came back, not only was I pretty salty about that happening, but I think everybody else was already starting to not care about Vanguard as much, so it just put my hopes for the game in the bin. But I'm going to sort of bring it back around to what I talked about earlier for my first point on why Vanguard is failing, and that is it being a World War II game. Obviously, I talked about as soon as they told us, well, as soon as it was leaked it was going to be a World War II game, I said that I wasn't looking forward to it because World War II games were just boring in my opinion. And I think that is the opinion in the general COD community as well. People don't want a Call of Duty World War II game. They really don't. We've seen that ever since the start of Call of Duty's history. They were all World War II games, and they kept going back to it. They kept going back to it, and it's been done. We know World War II. We've played World War II games so much, and we don't want it. We really don't. If I was to pick a perfect time period for a Call of Duty game, it would be near future. Not Black Ops 3 or Infinite Warfare. Black Ops 2 is what I'd class as near future. It's maybe 5 or 10 years, maybe a bit more than that in the future, where things are still relatively realistic and grounded to the modern era, but there are some things that the developers can play around with. You know, you can introduce some new weaponry that maybe doesn't exist. You can introduce some new vehicles and kill streaks that don't exist, or maybe do exist, but they're just sort of modern / future upgrades on what we have at the moment. And it is a shame that we haven't seen a Call of Duty game in that time period since Black Ops 2. I don't know why they haven't done it. We've had much further future games. We've had World War II games, and we've had modern games, but they haven't touched the near future era. And I'm really hoping in the future they do, mainly Treyarch, but obviously because of Black Ops 2. And obviously, I think Infinity Ward do better in the modern era. Sledgehammer I don't really care that much about, but I want to see a near future game. Now, the next part for me is that multiplayer is the only really playable part of this game, in my opinion. I am somebody who likes to play all 3 parts of the game: campaign, multiplayer, and let's just say it's typically zombies. The campaign is something that I'll play at the start of the game, or maybe towards the end of the game when there isn't much else to do. You know, I'd like to see the story and the characters and all that kind of stuff. And the zombies is sort of a good break from the multiplayer, sorry. It's a very different thing, and it has a very good feeling to it usually. You know, it's a very enjoyable experience. But both of them this year, in my opinion, aren't true. Now, I should say that I haven't personally played the campaign. That is the main thing I'm going to say. And obviously, I can't really judge it that much based on the fact I haven't played it. But from what I've heard, the campaign is just very mid this year. You know, there isn't a lot to it. There's a lot of sort of cliche tropes, and it doesn't sound like something that's very captivating to me. And the zombies is just absolutely terrible in my opinion. Like, I'm gonna say in my opinion, but I think a lot of people would agree that the zombies this year is just terrible. It's nothing like the standard zombies, and I wouldn't even call it zombies. It's just something else entirely. It's just Outbreak 2, really. It's not traditional zombies. Now, saying that multiplayer is the only playable part isn't exactly true. What I mean by that is it's the only sort of enjoyable part, because even if the campaign is phenomenal, it's about 4 or 5 hours of playtime. Like, you're not going to be playing campaign across the entire year, and zombies is something that you should be, well, you would be playing throughout the entire year alongside multiplayer. But obviously zombies this year isn't that good at all, so multiplayer is the only really enjoyable part of this game, and even then, the multiplayer is still mid to good. I'd say the core gameplay is good, but I think the actual enjoyment of Vanguard, where, you know, you should be playing games is for enjoyment, is very much lacking. And that's what brings me on to our next point, that there isn't really any satisfaction in this game. Kill streaks are just not very good, you know, they're not very satisfying to use. You don't get tons of kills. They're just sort of there to assist you, if that makes sense. Like, if you think of an Osprey gunner, right, from back in the day, that is something you worked towards, you got, and then you focused on that entirely because you were getting tons of kills, or, you know, you were getting tons of support from that, and that was something you went for, and that was something that was a main focal point, I would say, of Call of Duty. But these days, it's completely different. Kill streaks are just sort of there to sort of assist you. Like, I guess that's their point anyway, but it just sort of feels like your kill streaks are in the background. They get you a couple kills every so often. They're not really, you know, really big, and, you know, you don't get hundreds of kills from them. That's a bit of an exaggeration, but, you know, you don't get your kill streak and get like 20 kills from it, or, you know, you get loads of help or whatever. It's just sort of, they're there, you know, you get a couple kills here and there. That's about it. And another part of that is the V2 rocket as well. That is definitely a part that is a lot of fun to go for, and once you get it, you get that sort of, that climax, I guess, is like, yes, I got a V2 rocket, that's so cool. But it's so hard for almost all players in Call of Duty to get a V2 rocket. There is a very small minority of players that actually manage to get a V2 rocket, or just the nuke kill streak in any Call of Duty. Almost no players get that. There's a very small percentage that actually even go for it, and actually get it. So to say that that's part of the kill streak system is sort of a joke, to be honest. The maps in this game are pretty average. I mean, the only memorable maps for me are Das House, Eagle's Nest, Radar, and Hotel Royal. And Radar isn't even an original map. That's Dome remade. But regardless, the maps in this game are just sort of very generic. Like, there's a lot of variety in the visuals for maps. Like, you have snow maps, you have jungle maps, beach maps, city sort of maps. But they're not very standouty. I don't know how else to describe it. Like, for me, Das House is sort of the new iteration of Shipments and Shoot House. You know, it's the second Shoot House, and we all know how famous that map is. That's why Das House is up here. Eagle's Nest for me is just an all-round perfect map. Like, you know, 3-lane system. It has a lot of complexity to it alongside being a 3-lane system. Alongside that, the visuals of the map are just fantastic. Like, on top of the hill, you know, it has a bit of snow. It just looks amazing. And Hotel Royal, I think, is just such a unique map that actually works really well. It makes it very enjoyable, and it's sort of a very unique experience when you play it. Obviously, with like the sort of 2 levels to the map, it's such a unique experience playing that map, and I really enjoy it. Alongside that, I love the aesthetic of it being a night map. I think it's very cool. But that's about it in terms of like creative maps. Everything else, like Gondola, yeah, is a very creative map, but it's also terribly designed. Like, it's so flawed. That's about it in terms of exciting maps though. Everything else is just sort of there. It's like, yeah, Tuscan or whatever. Wow, that's so cool. You know, these 4 maps, in my opinion, are the only ones that are worth playing. The rest, not even worth playing, that are memorable to me. There are a lot more that are worth playing, but they're not really that exciting. They're just sort of there, you know, they sort of get you through it, I guess. And the final point I want to make for today is there isn't really anything satisfying to strive for. Like, back in the day, you would go through prestiges. There was a progression loop to the game where every time you prestige, you get reset, you lose your stuff, and you'd have to go through it again. You know, you'd use to unlock tokens depending on the game. And as well, if you were going for the mastery camo of the game, let's say Dark Matter, you had to sort of integrate your progression on the camo with your prestige prestiges. So I remember back in the day, you'd think like, okay, so I'm gonna get this gun gold before I prestige. Then once I prestige, I'll work on this weapon, which I'll have once I prestige because it's such a low level weapon. And then once I've done that, you know what I mean, like you get the picture. But there's not that feeling anymore, because obviously you just get all your guns once you go through the progression loop once, and then that's it. Then it's done. You know, prestige nowadays is just so much worse compared to what it was before. I personally was somebody who defended the new prestige system, I'll be honest. Now, I'd never said that it was better than the original, but I used to think that it was good, because it would keep you coming back every season to get to level 200, to get your ribbon or whatever, and then, you know, you'd move on, and then you'd come back the next 2 months. But the problem with that is that it's just going through the process. Like, there isn't really any excitement or thought to it. You just sort of do it every season, and it's not an enjoyable thing to do every season as well. It's just sort of like you have to do it. So prestiging in this game is dead. Atomic is pretty cool. I'm someone who goes for a camo grind, so I'm going to do it regardless of if it's fun or not. I don't think the grind is that bad this year. I think it's pretty good. The camo is pretty good as well, but I don't know, the gameplay loop isn't too satisfying, so it's just sort of alright, this camo grind. Battle passes are terrible this year. Like, you know, the cosmetics in there are just god awful. It made me want to start crying and throwing up at the same time. And that's all there is. There's nothing else to go for. There's only the mastery camo, prestige, and battle passes. There's nothing else to go for. Actually, no, there's the sort of officer challenge thing as well, I guess, like the challenges every season. You know, there's no 100% to calling card. There's no ultimate mastery camo. There's no obsidian camo. There's nothing else to do. The only thing for me is atomic camo. Once I've done that, I doubt I'm going to be playing this game that much, to be honest, and that's a sad thing, because once again, like I said in the intro, I was really looking forward to this game, and I just personally think it's been a terrible disappointment, and this is why Vanguard is failing. We're not even halfway through Season 2, and this game is dead. I'm going to be honest. Like, yeah, it's not technically dead where, you know, the servers are still going. There's people are still playing it, obviously. But in terms of popularity in the gaming scene as a bigger picture, this game is dead. If you talk about Call of Duty Vanguard, people just sort of, you know, they start throwing up because, you know, it's Vanguard. Stinky Vanguard, you know. Nobody wants to talk about that. No one wants to play that. And that is why I think Call of Duty Vanguard is failing. Thank you guys very much for watching this video. If you've enjoyed it, make sure to leave a like and also subscribe if you're new around here. Let me know down in the comments what you think about this as well. I'm very interested to hear what you guys think about this. I think this is something we could have a good conversation about in the comment section. But anyway, yeah, thank you guys very much for watching, and I'll see you guys in the next one.